Okay. Hello, y'all. My name is Caroline Wong. I'm in the Healthcare Administration program, and I'm going to be facilitating some instructional Excel tutorial videos. I'm a certified Excel expert with Microsoft. I got this certification in undergrad at Trinity University in San Antonio. There are different levels of the certification you can obtain, and if you're interested in getting certified, you can go to certipoint.com and click on Microsoft, and it is the Microsoft Office Specialist exam. It's about $250, but you do have a professional development stipend built into your tuition, so this may be an option for you if you want to use some of that money toward the certification. I don't know for a fact if you can use it for the professional development stipend, but you can contact someone in the program and they can let you know about that. I made these videos. They're tailored with healthcare examples in mind, and everything I do in these videos you will have to do at some point in your classes, whether it's statistics or finance or information systems or whatever. Although there are copious instructional videos on YouTube about Excel, it's difficult to find healthcare specific examples. All of the examples and formulas I use in these videos I've included because we use them in classes. I've divided these videos into different modules, so I'm going to start module 1 with the basics of Excel language, going over some general Excel terminology. The objective of module 1 is to get comfortable with the layout of Excel and where to locate specific items. I have the objectives set up for the different modules, but none of what I'm saying is scripted, so bear with me if I get tongue twisted or there's some awkward silence. It will happen. The biggest tip that I can give you right now is to get a Bluetooth mouse or a mouse that connects to a USB port in your computer. Having a mouse makes everything so much easier. You can right click. You just have a lot more control over your screen with a mouse. So if you don't have one, I would definitely go do that. They have them at all of the office supply stores and whatnot. They range from like $10 to $30. Sorry, that was my cell phone. Another tip, if you need to invest in a new laptop for graduate school, or if you're looking to get a new laptop, I strongly recommend getting a Windows operating system computer, pretty much anything other than Mac. I had a Mac and it drove me crazy with Excel. It's a completely different operating system with Excel. Like Mac Excel is very different than Windows Excel. So if you're working on a Mac right now and you see me do something, you may not have the same option, and there's really not much I can do because I'm not familiar with how Mac is set up. So if you are working on your Mac and you see something or if you don't see something that I'm doing, like a tab or an option or a formula or something like that, you may just have to Google it for Mac because there are some differences in that. MUSC in general uses Microsoft. They use Microsoft Teams, Outlook, the email, everything Microsoft. A lot of other businesses do too, and other hospital systems. I really don't know anyone that uses Mac operating systems. So, I really would invest in an HP or a Dell laptop. I don't think Mac is too great. Not to, harp on Mac, but it's not my favorite. You'll hear me say that throughout these videos. Okay, so let's get started. Hopefully you'll have a link to this spreadsheet so you can download it yourself and work alongside me. So I have my copy, which I labeled the master copy down here, and this is a practice for you. As you can see, last name, first name, all of these names are made up. There's the tooth fairy down here. Just go with it. So let's see. Number 1, Excel terminology. Each of these that I'm clicking on, this is called a cell. Your entire workbook, it's called a workbook. What I'm working in right now is your workbook. These down here, where it says practice, master copy, I'm switching between sheets. You need to know this terminology when someone says on sheet 1 on sheet, A, B, C, on the practice sheet, when you're reading in a book and they want you to do an example, it's going to say on the hospital administrator's sheet, and you need to know that these are sheets and you are working within a workbook. So that's some basic terminology that's important to understand. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these are called rows. The A, B, C, D, E are called columns. So when they go down, they're columns, across are rows. I believe there's like 1.5 million rows is the capacity that Excel has. So you're never going to run out of space. If you keep going past Z, it'll end up being like A, B, AC. I mean, there's just infinite possibilities. So that is some of the basic terminology you need to know. We are going to insert a column. So Excel inserts columns to the left. So if I want to insert a column between B and C, I'm going to right click on column C and click Insert. This inserts a column to the left of column C. Yeah, I said that right. Okay. If I right click and click Delete, it will delete that column. Same thing with rows. I can go Insert, and it will insert a row above what I was working on. And then I can click Delete. I can also insert multiple rows and columns at a time. So I can highlight B, C, D, Insert, and it will insert 3 columns, which is what I highlighted. I'm going to click the back button up here. And also save your workbook. Save, 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 save. Always, always, always save your workbook. When you think about it, save your workbook. There are a few ways to retrieve your workbook if your computer kind of spazzes out and powers off, but you need to save your workbook. And let's see, autofit. This is so helpful. You see how if I click in cell E1, you see how I did that, E1. If I click in cell E1, the title of the column is in the formula bar. And this right here is your formula bar. You see how in cell E1, you don't see the whole name of the column? If you hold your cursor in between cells E and F, you'll see it change to kind of like a little black cross. If you double click, it will auto fit that column so you can see the entire contents of the column. And it works like that. Like if I had a number that was so big, if I double clicked it, it would include the entire thing. And you can kind of, go back and forth with this. You can make it big, you can make it small. If you make it so small, your numbers will turn into the pound sign or the hashtag sign or whatever you want to call it. This is because, don't freak out, your numbers are still there. It's in the pound sign because the numbers are too big for the cell to display. So what you want to do is double click or expand that column so everything is visible. Don't freak out if you see little numbers or little pound signs. It's gonna be okay. So we did autofit, naming sheets. So if you go down here and double click, once you have the sheet selected, if you double click, you can name the sheet, practice 1 or just practice. Press enter, you have just named a sheet. To insert sheets, here is, you could insert a sheet and it will name it sheet 4 or sheet 2 or whatever sheet you're working on. You can also click and hold it and move it. So I'm going to move this sheet to the end. Just a random sheet. So I'm going to right click, delete. I don't need that. Let's see, naming sheets, deleting data. Let's delete this data. Okay, so patient ID. This is pretty helpful. If you highlight your data, press the delete key, it will delete the contents of the cells that you highlighted. If you just press backspace, it will only delete one cell's contents. So the delete button is your friend. What we are going to do is you want to insert a number series. Actually, wait, hold on. Wait on that. Another helpful tip, when you're dealing with data that has rows of like 500, 600, or whatever, it's a lot of work to grab this and keep going all the way down until you get to 600. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody. So if you click in cell whatever, and you click Shift Control, actually let's try it with column B. If you click Shift Control down arrow, it will highlight all of the contents in that row. If you have 600 rows of data, it will highlight all of that data, and you will be able to manipulate it however you want. But so let's try again. Shift Control down arrow. Also, you can do Shift Control down arrow and then right arrow, and it will highlight all the data that you need. You can also do Control A, and that will highlight all of the data in your entire workbook, doing Control A. Just some like helpful tips and tricks and whatnot, just to get you more comfortable with how Excel is laid out and everything. So let's try it again. Just do Control A. It'll highlight the entire thing. If you're clicking in your data and do Control A, that's where it highlights. Like Excel knows where your data is. If I came out here into like cell J7, there's no data there. And if I did Control A, it would highlight everything. So you want to click in your data first before you do Control A or anything like that. The Control key, if I want to select more than one column at a time, you can do like B, C, D and hold your mouse, the clicker down, your mouse down, and just highlight, B, C, D. If you want to highlight columns that are not next to each other, like B, D, E, if you click B, press Control, and click D and F, well, now you've highlighted B, D, and F. Because you may not need column C or E. Okay. So I'm gonna kind of go over some of the stuff in the Home tab. Your Home tab is kind of your best friend. It has all of the formatting tools, text, making numbers bigger, everything, anything with formatting a cell. So I'm going to go up here. This is where you can choose whatever font you want. You can increase the size of your font, whatever. You can highlight different cells, anything like that. Underlining, this is the underline. So you can do different borders. I can do like a thick bottom border. Let's see. No border. There it is. So I'm going to bold patient ID because it's the name of a column and I want it to stick out. So I'm also going to highlight it yellow. Format Painter, I love Format Painter. I use it a lot. So if you're like formatting the cell, instead of going to last name and then clicking the highlight button again and the bold, if I go in cell A1 and click Format Painter and then click cell B1, it will format that the same as it's formatted in A1. So if you do a bunch of fancy formatting to A1 and you want the other columns to look like that, Format Painter is a good tool to use. So if I do Format Painter, I can highlight all of the titles of these columns and let go, and there we go. I think that that's an interesting feature. I also want to make them in the center of the column, so I'm going to click on this guy right here. I don't know, it just kind of looks better. Let's click all of these, and you can just kind of play around with it, whatever you think looks good. I'm going to do thick outside borders. So now I have, you know, my column headers underlined. I think it looks better. Okay, so inserting a number series, very important. I use this all the time. So if you do 1, let's try 2, 3. If you highlight the 1 and drag the 1, A2, keep holding your mouse. If you drag it down, oh goodness. Well, do you see how when I move my cursor over, it's white? It's a white cross right now, and it changes to black. Double click right now in the bottom right corner of your cell that you have selected. If you double click, it will populate what you have highlighted with 1s. So we don't want to do that. I want to do patient ID 1 through 20. So I do 1, enter, 2, enter, 3, enter. I'm going to put these in the middle of the column so you can see better. What I do is I don't just highlight the 1, I highlight 1, 2, 3. So everything is highlighted. Then you see how my cursor changes from white to black right here? If I double click, it will populate the column with the numbers because Excel realizes the pattern. Like Excel is all about patterns and whatnot. So this is called a series fill. I'm going to press the back button, show you something else that's kind of cool. If you want like every other number, you can do 1, 3, 5. See, Excel realizes that this is a pattern. And it will skip by 3s now. Or 2s, my bad. So I want 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to highlight the whole thing. If you're not getting this, then it's because you're just not highlighting something right. I had some trouble like teaching people how to do this at the beginning of the semester. They like could not get it, and they were holding on to, you know, they were just doing the 1 and they were not highlighting the whole thing first. You have to highlight all. You have to highlight 1, 2, and 3, and then double click. Because Excel needs to realize that it's a pattern. So I find that very helpful. If you don't want to do it like that, you can go over to Fill and then do Series. Let's see, I'm going to delete. So I'm going to highlight this, click Delete. That's how you delete, cells. Fill, Series, column, step value, 20. Actually, this may not work. Hold on, bear with me. I don't know why that's doing that. Maybe trend? I don't know. Huh. Anyway, I'll figure that out in a second. 1, 2, 3. Highlight them all. Whoops. Double click. Voila. I love this function. I just love series fill. It's fun. Okay, so let's see. Flash fill. Very fun. Before I do that, I actually want to work on sorting data. So I have a list of names in column C, starting with my name. Woo. If I highlight the contents of column C and go over to sort and filter, sort A through Z, it's going to sort the names in alphabetical order. Notice that when I click this, it gives me a warning. So Excel knows that these are names, and then it knows that I have first names and last names. If I sort just column C, then it will get all funky with the last names and not sort the last names. So Excel knows that, and it gives me a warning saying Microsoft Excel found data next to your selection, the last names. Since you've not selected this data, it will not be sorted. What do you want to do? Do you want to continue with the current selection? So do you want to continue with just column C? Or do you want to expand the selection? We are going to expand the selection. Sort. Now our data is sorted in column C by first name alphabetical order. Okay, so flash fill. Love flash fill. In cell D2, we have, it's asking for the name. In cell C and B, we have first name, last name. I'm going to show you something. So first name, Alex. Last name, Ramirez. Enter. In cell D3, type Ashley Roberts. Why is it not working? Flash fill. Ah, there we go. Okay. I hope that y'all saw what I just did. Earlier when I was working with it by myself, it kind of fills for you. Like Excel recognizes that it's a pattern. So it capitalizes the first name and last name for you based on what you typed in cell D2. So I'm going to back that up real quick so I can show you again what just happened. So I'm doing Alex Ramirez because I want the names to be, like, I don't want spaces between the names. I want just one name, first and last. Enter. Ashley Roberts. Okay, now it's doing it. So do you see how down below I have Caroline Wall, Charlie Yeager, Colleen Simpson, fake names, bear with me. This is called flash fill. Excel recognizes this pattern and it is doing the work for you. This is so beneficial when you're working with lots of data and it's giving you like a ton of patient names and whatnot, and some are capitalized, some aren't. There's just not a lot of structure to it, and you want to just manipulate this data. This is perfect because it formats it for you the same. All I have to do is click enter and it flash fills everything for me. That's what this little flash fill option is. And you can, to get rid of this little box, you can click accept suggestions. I'm going to auto fit that so you can see all the names. If it's not giving you the option, what you can do is go up to the fill and flash fill. That's what we were doing. And it will come up with all the names. So I'm just going to try it one more time for you guys. Delete. So Alex Ramirez. And you may need to type in a name or two just to get it going. See, now I can't even come up here to the fill option because it's doing it for me. Just click enter. You can do this with anything. It doesn't just have to be names. Flash fill can be used for, pretty much anything. Most commonly, I think I've used it most for names and whatnot, email addresses, all of that stuff. So, as far as formatting cells, if we go to this is the outstanding balance that the patients owe for whatever doctor's visit they had. Over here, if we need to highlight what we want to work with. Like if you were just had your cursor in E2 and started to, click stuff to make more or less decimal places or, change anything about this currency, whatever, it won't do it to everything unless you have everything highlighted to begin with. But if you don't, it's okay, because of what I just did. I changed it from accounting to currency. I prefer currency because I don't like some random dollar sign. Sorry. I don't like some random dollar sign out in the middle to the left. Like, I think that's weird. So I have $136. If I go down to the little black arrow in the bottom right-hand corner of my cell, it changes from white to black. You can see that. Double click. Oh no. What just happened? Whoopsies. Format painter. Let's try that. Highlight. Voila. That worked. I don't know why Anyway, I guess the moral of the story right now is there are multiple ways to do one thing in Excel. Like there are probably 3 or 4, sometimes more, different ways to get the same result in Excel, and that's with formulas, with formatting, anything. So if you're ever in a stump with something and cannot figure out how to do something, if one way is not working for you, there's another way to do it, I promise. So, over here, we're working with dates. We work with dates a lot in class. We have, accounts receivable dates and whatnot. Admission, patient admission, when they were admitted, when they were discharged. You need to know the difference between dates and whatnot. And we're going to work on that in later modules, like subtracting and adding dates to see how many days a patient was in a hospital, for example, which is very important. If you go over to the date, you can go, if we want to know what day of the week, we can go long date. See, it's the content of the cell is too large for the current cell or current column width. So we want to auto fit that. We should be able to, see, I just double clicked that arrow right here, and it formatted everything for me. So I'm just going to show you all that again. The reason it did not do it over here is because these numbers I generated randomly, and when you generate random numbers, like, it's a little bit complicated, but I'll get to that later. Balance due. So if I see my cursor is white right now, black, white, black. When it changes to black, I want you to double click, and it's going to format everything below the same as how you have it in your initial cell, which for us was cell F2. So I hope that makes sense. I'm sorry if I'm going a little bit fast, or if something I'm saying doesn't make sense, let me know. So conditional formatting, highlighting cell rules. So we have a outstanding balance right here, and we want to flag the numbers, the balances that are above $100 per se. Let's just say if they owe more than $100, that account needs to be flagged. And so we're going to highlight, shift control down, go up here, go conditional formatting, to highlight cell rules. We want greater than $100, so we're going to go to greater than. So it says format cells that are greater than $100. With a light red fill and dark red text, you can change it to light red fill. You can change it to just red text, whatever suits you. Click OK, and it will conditionally format, which is formatting a cell based on a specific condition. The condition being if you have an outstanding balance greater than $100. Hope that makes sense. You can also do conditional formatting with dates. So we want to do highlight cell rules, a date occurring. Let's do next month. So if they have an outstanding balance greater than $100 that's due next month, we want to format that with light red fill and dark red text. Actually, let's do something different for fun. Just red text. How about that? Oh, fantastic. Oh no! What in the world? Okay. It must have changed my dates. See, it goes February 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I didn't even see that. Uh-oh. I'm just going to go with it. If you go to, I'm going to go to the practice one just so you can see. If you, let's go long date. I'm just going to do Format Painter. That's why I prefer Format Painter. Like, when you're formatting stuff, use Format Painter when you're, filling cells with numbers and whatnot. You can typically double click and drag it down. I'm just going to use Format Painter. Go down. Actually, let's see. Format. There we go. And if I click this data, I'm going to conditional formatting and do a date occurring next month with light red fill. I said I would do something different, so let's try red text. So now if your balance is due next month, it is highlighted in red. Kind of interesting. Okay, let's see. So that pretty much sums up what I'm doing for this module 1. If I think of some more stuff that would be beneficial in the home tab, I will let you know. We're going to get to some more stuff a little bit later on. Let's see. Nope, there's really nothing else that I want to show y'all for this module. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and I hope that this was helpful. And if you have any questions, I love to help with this stuff. And if you're watching this a few years from now or whenever, my cell phone number is probably still going to be the same. And I don't mind getting calls about Excel because I love helping with this stuff. So my cell phone number is 940-782-9260. Please feel free to contact me, email me. I'm sure they will still have my contact information and email long after I graduate, I hope. Okay, I'll see y'all for the next module.